Hello everyone, Republic Jim here. It's April 20th. Lockdown continues to drag on. I'm at work anyway because I have one of those essential jobs, but my hair is kind of getting out of control because unfortunately my barber is not considered essential. Anyway, I thought I'd make a quick video here just on the topic of YouTube, since I know a lot of people have spare time on their hands and they're probably watching more things on YouTube. So I figured I'd list some of my favorite channels for what it's worth. If any of you are interested, maybe you can get something beneficial out of it. I don't have them in any real particular order as far as my favorites or anything. Just sort of divided them up into categories just to give a rough idea. So anyway, with that in mind, sort of just a quick rundown of them, and I'll have links to the different channels down below in the description also. So in the category of outdoor and survival skills, something I'm quite interested in for search and rescue and just my own personal use, my top two favorites on that are Survival Russia, which Lars is actually Danish but lives in Russia and does a wonderful job of all sorts of interesting and entertaining stuff, and it's just an awesome channel. And then there's Far North Bushcraft and Survival. Lonnie lives up in Alaska, and another very good one for people who live in colder climates and deal with snow and such, and some useful stuff there. As far as gear reviews, my favorite is Prepared Mind 101. Chris, he does mostly a big focus on knives. He loves them. That's always pretty interesting. And then he does flashlights and assorted camping gear and other useful stuff. There are a lot of other gear review channels out there, but I just happen to like that one the most. As far as fitness related topics, that's a big one that I watch. There's quite a few channels that I do, but I'll just mention a few of my top ones, and that also, they include strongman training and competition type stuff too, because I just find that really entertaining. So again, in no particular order, there's the Red Delta Project, which is primarily about calisthenics type training, but a lot of useful information and some dietary information there too. The Massive Iron Channel, Steve Shaw, that one, he does give a lot of opinion, and I don't necessarily always agree with him, but as far as his information, he has a ton of experience with lifting weights over a long period of time, doing powerlifting and bodybuilding and those sort of things, and just general fitness. Excellent resource. One of my favorites is Brian Ellsrue. He does mostly strongman type fitness, a lot of heavy lifting and carrying weird objects around and doing high intensity workouts, and he's just very inspirational and gives a lot of helpful tips and such. Good one to follow. And there's also strongman related is Cale Beck. He does mostly coverage of strongman competitions and just general information for people trying to get started out with strongman training, and very down to earth and easy to follow. And finally, in that category, there's Shredded Sports Science, which James Linker is hilarious and has a good background in fitness science and just a wealth of good information about being healthy and workouts and such, and getting rid, or dispelling a lot of the fitness myths and ridiculing some of the fools on YouTube giving false information. So he just has a really entertaining way of presenting the information, and I enjoy him a lot. And then finally, in the category of miscellaneous, which I have some pretty eclectic interests, and I tend to be all over the board on YouTube, and their algorithm for giving suggestions, sometimes I think I confuse them a little bit, but at any rate, I have a few odd ones that don't fit into other categories. So one of them is Shadiversity. He deals a lot with medieval weaponry and armor and historical type stuff from that era. He also does pop culture, talks about movies and the use of the weapons and plots and everything in them, and he does castle stuff and role playing, and he's all over the place. Lately he's been doing a lot on the topic of archery with medieval war bows, and that's been pretty entertaining. And he is very watchable for me. He's just got an interesting personality and a very entertaining way of presenting things. So definitely doesn't fit any of the other categories of stuff I watch, but I enjoy it immensely. And then one I just started watching recently for information about gardening, since I'm trying to learn a lot more about that, is an Australian channel called Self-Sufficient Me. He does a lot with raised beds and does some with poultry and that sort of thing too, but primarily gardening. He's a wealth of information about growing the sort of vegetables and just all the techniques involved in getting a productive raised bed system going. And one that would sort of fall into outdoor and survival skills, but he also does a lot of more just talking about the political situation and masculinity and various things like that. It's a Norwegian. The channel is Bjorn Andreas Bull Hansen. Hopefully I pronounced that right. He's kind of a thoughtful, slow-speaking guy, but I appreciate a lot of his views. He's usually out in the woods filming and making fires and doing bushcrafting things, but just having kind of campfire talks and discussing his thoughts on a variety of topics, and it's pretty interesting to watch at times. And finally, the last one on my list that I wanted to mention is wanted to give a shout out to my friend Karen. The channel is The Journey Girl Cooks. She just started the channel up recently, and obviously it's a cooking show, something I'm not normally interested in at all, but I have to say that I've watched videos just because of being friends with Karen and interested in what she was doing, and they're very easy to watch and follow along, and I think she's doing a great job. I'm hoping that channel will really take off, and if anyone is interested in cooking, check it out, because you can definitely learn a lot, and it's a well done channel. Anyway, that's the list that I have. There's quite a few other things I watch too, but I just wanted to give kind of a condensed version of some of the ones I find the most interesting or useful. So hopefully that will be of benefit to somebody, and if you don't care, feel free to let me know in the comments of ones that you recommend. I'd love to find out about other good channels that I haven't come across, and if anybody wants to discuss that further, just go ahead and post in the comment section there. Thanks a lot. I'll talk to you later.